everybody, and welcome to Nerdsplaining Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Da Silva. With me, as always, is my co-host, Jose Romero.
Greetings, salutations, nerds of the world. Another great nerd week. Not a big nerd week, but a great nerd week.
It is
a great nerd month, actually. If you want to be
June
exact.
is shaping up to be a definite great nerd month, a great week in geek, as we hear on Nerdsplaining, with a bunch of stuff to cover. Not a lot, but a lot to say about the stuff that's out.
Not a lot. We are going to do a across the Spiderverse.
Across the Spiderverse.
Review, spoilerific style, breaking it down. It's been a week. Everybody's seen it. Well, I'm sure if you wanted to see it, you've seen it. Get our thoughts. We're going to break it down. Very positive thoughts, just to kind of give you a hint of where we're going to go with this. But as always, the nuggets before. We're going to finish off with Spider-Verse on a high note. But we're going to do a little Spider-Verse sandwich, if you will. So I'm going to start.
I think we will.
I think we will, because we're going to do some little Spider-Verse news first. And I don't know if you heard this, but this is kind of funny. You know, I forget last year, a couple of years back, there was that deep fake guy who got hired by Lucas.
Yes.
He did was a better version of Luke than what they did on Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Was kind of something similar where we had this 14-year-old kid who apparently back in January did a trailer. He animated himself, like a shot-for-shot trailer of Across the Spider-Verse. He did a Lego style. And everybody's really impressed, particularly Lord and Miller, who are very active on Twitter and saw the video on Twitter. So they reached out to the kid, and they actually hired him. He actually did some animation work on the film, which is pretty fucking cool. Particularly that Lego sequence, spoiler and whatever, that we got in was part of the multiverse and that, which is pretty damn cool, man, for a 14-year-old. Not just to do something, but to get picked up for doing it so good. That's pretty impressive, man. I mean, damn, forget that deepfake guy. That guy was older. Seriously. I think he was older, but 14 years old, man. That's pretty badass. I gotta admit that.
Listen, that kid's living the dream. He's getting to play with Legos and being in a major motion picture, major superhero motion picture, major animated. Like, he's got resume is locked.
Oh my
Any
god,
kind
for
of
real.
Lego movie now, you hired this kid coming in.
That's all you need. But the kid's gonna go graduation straight to somewhere, or he might have to go to school. He was apparently I was reading a little bit. His dad kind of taught him some software thing, and he just picked up and ran with it. And there it goes, man. He's the
LeBron James of Lego animation.
Apparently, man. I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are. And the more the words of Jim Carrey. So you're saying there's a chance.
There's more than a chance. The chances have been accepted. Now they're saying there's a career is what it should be, because that's what it's going to go
for all you kids out there who are aspiring artists. Put your stuff out there. You never know. So that was pretty cool. That's pretty badass story, man. If you go to school, you're like, yeah, but that shit was mine. That's pretty dope, man. Very dope for a very popular film. Another quick nugget here, and this is not a huge one, but it's kind of interesting. Captain America 4, I think, is coming out next May, and I think the original title was New World Order.
Correct.
And since they have changed the title very recently, that costume reveal has looked a lot different than the costume we saw at the end of the show. I kind of like that costume they had at the end of the show.
The costume at the end of the show was comic accurate. This one looks like it's borrowing from the Winter Soldier costume he had, and kind of augmenting off of that.
Do you like that? I kind of like the old,
I like the old one more. I know people are like, cool. It's so much white, and I was like, I actually kind of liked it.
I like that one. I don't know why they changed it, but whatever. I'm sure maybe it's out of context, and maybe he wears it more than one suit.
If Captain America's taught us anything in his movies, he can wear more than one suit.
That's true. So I'm saying maybe it's one suit, but either way. So now this title is now called Brave New World, which is interesting. Anthony Mackie was talking about it and kind of let it slip that he's looking forward to keep working with Harrison Ford. So apparently Harrison Ford's going to continue in his.
There's a photo on Twitter of both of them. Mm-hmm. Like, when you get your fold-out chairs, they're like on the Captain America fold-out chairs and they're talking. So they're clearly, he's in it.
Yeah, and he doesn't die apparently. So we get to see more Harrison Ford. So that's good. We may need more of him because I keep hearing bad things about Indiana Jones, man. I'm disappointed in that. But
bummer.
Another topic for another day. But anyway, so the New World Order. I didn't like the New World Order because, and I didn't even think about it, my friend, I was big into like the '90s, big into wrestling at that
Yes.
time, and and those who remember WCW, and they had the New World Order, Kevin Nash, and
I mean, Skinny
Hollywood Hulk
Puppy had
Hogan.
that song, A New World Order.
Yeah,
I mean, that was a great like
that was a
industrial
great
rock song.
ride. That was a great the
Yep.
Wolfpack and all that stuff. So
Uh-huh.
you hear New World Order, so you're thinking Hollywood Hogan's gonna show up in Captain America, which would have
But
been pretty badass, man.
unfortunately, New World Order has been co-opted by conspiracy theorists, and I think that's why they changed it. Like we can't. People go, you see, Q's in on this. Like, no, no, stop. Forget it. Brave New World, you dorks. Brave New World.
It changes the whole complexity of the film has changed. I mean, it's just a title. Obviously, it's not a big deal, but I don't think it really sheds anything into what the movie's about. Um, Actually, I don't even know. I don't even read a synopsis on this at all. I have no idea what's going on. As you know, I
I
don't.
mean, there's a lot of rumors. Here's a movie that's did a really great job of not letting anything leak. The
Yeah.
only thing that's let leak is like the casting of Harrison Ford as Red Hulk.
Right, which
Everything else has been super tight-lipped.
it's hard to hide that fact either way. So you have to. So, but that's interesting. Whatever. I mean, whatever with Marvel. Whatever. I try to get excited. Guardians notwithstanding, of course. Um, Transformers, man. This is interesting. I don't, well, you actually haven't seen it; just came out. But I got to see it the other day. It was whatever. It's fine. You can skip it if you. You can skip it, but it's fine.
Was it closer to like Transformers One or Bumblebee? What would you place that if
It's
as
actually
a marker?
it's actually a little bit of each, to be honest with you. It's
Okay.
not as good as Bumblebee. I don't think it's even good as the first one, to be honest with you. I mean, it's.
Yeesh.
I like the first person. It's not great. Let's not get it twisted, but it was
Right.
fine. The other ones are garbage.
Right.
She was horrible. This is way better than that. There's some good stuff in it, but I don't know. Whatever. It's whatever. Honestly, if I hadn't seen it, I wouldn't want to care, to be honest with you. But I don't think it's gonna make a lot of money, to be honest with you. At all. I kind of like that Bumblebee a little more intimate. I would have been cool to continue that. They do kind of reference
Let
that
me
though.
ask you this: Are they finally fixing the problem that they thought they've discovered, which I hated, which is, do they give Bumblebee a voice?
No, it's still the same thing. Same
Dude,
thing.
that
Yeah.
that is the thing that angers me the most as a Transformers fan. Is they thought Bumblebee, oh, isn't it cute when he talks in radio clips? Yeah, for like maybe one movie. The fact that it became a thing infuriates me.
They can revive Optimus Prime and then they can't fix his fucking voice. I don't know what to tell you, dude.
That's what I'm saying,
I
man.
mean,
Like
I don't know what to tell you, man.
like, is it so hard? Like, okay, maybe you don't want it to sound like Casey Kasem. Hey, I get it.
That's fine.
You give him a personality, but not radio clipping. It just.
Yeah, the whole gimmick is, and obviously they use it again. It's tired. I'll give you that. But he's not a prominent figure in the film. I'll kind of leave it at that.
All right.
He's still there, does his thing, but the focus more on Mirage, who's this guy
Pete Davidson,
who I'm not a big fan of, but he's actually pretty good in this. I'll give credit where credit's due. I did kind of like it.
Okay.
And the music is the best part because this is 1994. It's talking about
84, I heard, right?
talking about prime hip hop. A lot of we had a little Cool J, we had Dre in there. Tribe Called Quest. I think I heard some of that. Maybe some Biggie. So classic hip hop. So that was a lot of the soundtrack behind it. So very cool.
All right.
But either way,
cool.
the ending. So I'm gonna. This is a spoiler here. So those, Eric, I know you don't mind too much spoilers, but those out there, this is a true spoiler at the end of the film. I'm going to talk about this now. This is the big takeaway out of this movie. So if you want to hear it, just fast forward a little bit. Like when a Transformers poster you see on you disappears, you can come back and unmute it or whatever. So you've been warned. So at the end of the film, they pretty much, I guess, announce a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover. Where with the kid, the main guy, the Ramos, who's the main character in the film, whatever,
Right.
He did all this thing. He gets called in for a job interview. Unbeknownst to him, it's one of the guys who I'm not sure he was in G.I. Joe, but whatever. He's obviously part of the group, and he makes him aware that he knows what this kid did and who his contacts with Transformers are. Hey, give me a call if you're interested. Yada yada yada. Gives him a card. And then the room opens up and you see all this kind of this warehouse of military stuff, and the card says G.I. Joe on it. So I guess it's not the crossover I want to see because I think we talked about a little fast Fast and Furious Transformers would have been a perfect blend of
It
ridiculousness.
really would have.
It really would
It
have, right?
really
I mean,
would have.
come on. I
Right.
mean, but GI Joe. I mean, who cares? I mean, look, Transformers is what it is, and no one like GI Joe. So why should we all get excited about this crossover?
Oh well, first of all, I will say that after credit scene gives me a little bit of hope because I thought it'd be really, really weird if the guy gave a card and it said Snake Eyes. Like, you're supposed to be quiet. Like, what are you doing?
That's a good point.
I'm cool with that. Like that, they're already off to a good start. They're keeping integral who's quiet and who's not. Fine, but I mean, listen, they've been talking about this crossover for years.
Yeah.
But you would think that you would reserve the crossover announcement when you have like a really good movie. And if this is like a whatever movie, that's not where you want to make the announcement.
I guess. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just don't see the appeal of Transformers and GI Joe. I mean, the Transformers are better when the human element is not around, for the most part.
I've always said that.
Right.
I've always said that.
Right.
No one cares about the people. They care about the robots. Exactly. I mean, that's what they want.
To give credit's due, in Bumblebee and this one, the human factor is okay. But I mean, fine. But small doses, right? We want the fucking robot. I don't see GI Joe hijacking this franchise. Not that this is a great franchise. Fair enough, but you're adding shit onto shit. That's the thing I look at. GI Joe sucked. They both sucked. I don't want to.
I mean, the cartoon or the movies?
The movies. The cartoons are great.
Okay, the cartoon it's got a special place.
Yeah, I'm not touching that. This is just the film versions of what they've given us over the years.
Yes.
It's been terrible. I mean, God, I get it, but who cares? I don't really care.
You know what would be a better crossover? You know what would be a better crossover? Thundercats, Silverhawks. That would be a crossover.
That would crossover. Obviously, you have to do both films and cross them over. But yeah,
no, first movie off the bat, same world. I mean, screw it, just go in.
I mean, if you start with Thundercats and introduce at the end Silverhawk, that would work. I mean,
clearly,
but that's not very, very popular IP though, right? GI Joe is, or it's known, right? I think that'll get people excited. You tease Silverhawks like, okay, a few small percentage of nerds that goes, oh yeah, which is fine. But let's be honest. But GI Joe is a known IP. It's been a couple of films, whatever. So I get it. It's interesting. I don't know. Interesting to see. Then again, this movie doesn't make money. I don't think this movie's gonna make money. I really don't. Not enough. I mean, Spiderverse was last week, right? It's still gonna do very good money second weekend, and then you got Flash and Elemental next week. Which Transformers gonna make his money? It's not. It's not. And you got Indiana Jones and so forth and so forth. Yeah, I don't know. The last one opened like a 40 million. It's not a great number. Bumblebee. Bumblebee was. But it was a smaller film. It was a smaller film.
It was a smaller film, and they did really well for. Like they went in there thinking, we are a great. If your other movie is sold out, buy a ticket to us.
Right? No, yeah, it was fine. It's a smaller budget, and listen, it's following the garbage of Transformers for years, so that's a hard hill to climb.
It really is.
It really is. So this one comes off Bumblebee, right? So I don't know, but. Whatever. I still wanted to see Vin Diesel. I thought it would have been more interesting.
I mean, that would have been a better crossover.
Vin Diesel versus Optimus Prime. That's a nice, fair fight. I honestly couldn't tell who would win that fight. I don't know. Maybe Vin Diesel.
I mean, Vin Diesel now or Vin Diesel from the first Fast and Furious?
No, Fast and Furious, he gets crushed. But Vin Diesel now, he might take on Unicron by himself at this point.
I was about to say,
I mean,
clearly.
He might as well.
He would punch Unicron with screaming family, and it would just send him into the sun.
It's a wrap. I don't know, whatever. So that was kind of interesting. It is what it is, man. Next, this is another story we talked about before, but I mean, I guess things were probably confirmed. It's more information. That's about Superman. I think there's prior reports we read about Nicholas Hoult. I think being looked at more for Lex Luthor, which I thought was a really good idea. I forgot the guy's name. Oh my god, I had it here and I totally lost his name. The Superman they were looking at was David. No, not David. David Cornsweet.
To me, he sounds like the favorite.
He sounds like it, but yeah. So the story comes down. I guess they're down to 3, right? Apparently, in terms of Superman, anyway. And the first name Nicholas Hoult, which surprised me, is that all the talk was about him doing Lex Luthor.
Luther.
So I'm like, okay, because doing a lot of test screenings now. What do they call it? Not test screenings. If I would call it.
It's not charisma, but it's
But
like
what
you
do
see how well you play with each other
Yeah,
on screen.
David Corn Sweat. I don't know what his name is. And then Tom Brittany is another guy. The latter two are really relatively unknown guys.
Yeah.
They're really Nicholas Hoult's the only known commodity.
Name,
Right?
right.
He's not a big star, but he's been around. I'm looking at the I have him pictured up there. I mean, I don't want to see Nicholas Hoult Superman. I don't think that works.
I think he's too slender.
Yeah,
like he's too jagged of a man.
Doesn't have that jaw. I don't know. It just doesn't.
Right.
You look at him. It just doesn't say Superman, right? And I like him. And I think as a Lex Luthor, I think he'd be great.
I still say Skarsgård from It and John Wick 4 would be a better Luthor.
Oh, no, agree, no doubt about it. I mean, who knows what route they go? Because maybe Nicholas Hoult didn't want. Who knows, right? But I still think David Corn, just by looking at him, and I can't see it, but
he looks for Superman. Yeah,
he looks like Henry Cavill. This is
a young Henry Cavill. Yeah,
he does. So, and the other guy's very young too. He hasn't done much at all either. So the other guy's kind of a little blondish hair. I saw some images. He's a little bit bigger, but some weights. Anybody can get big these days. Or HG.
That's your Aquaman.
Hugh Jackman.
That's your Aquaman right there.
Yeah, that's good. Look at him now. I could definitely see Aquaman. So these are the three. It's me one of those three, unless some surprise thing comes at the last minute. But the money's still on Corn Sweat. I don't know if I'm even saying that right. To be honest with you.
We'll eventually get it when it gets
get
picked.
it when it's announced.
About it,
when his name, people are like, "Who's that guy?" Eventually, we're gonna hear his name being pronounced. But he'd be the choice for me. Again, whatever. The other two guys. Then Holt. I don't know. I'm not saying James Gunn can spin the straw to gold here, but I don't know. Let's see. And Lois Lane, we talked about her as well. And there's three candidates. There's Emma Mackey, who is from Sex Education. Rachel Brosnan, of course, who's Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And a new name, which wasn't there before, Phoebe Dynevor. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce it either. I think she was in Bridgerton. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't see that show. Nothing, stuff that I've never even seen of or heard of before.
I mean,
she looks regular looking. She's got kind of youngest little blonde hair, the youngest features to her. But I think we both agree. Brosnan, Rachel, the one.
Marvelous Maisel, like that snappy personality. Yeah. That's what I want from my Lois. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I like Mackie too. I've seen her. She's really good in that show. I haven't seen her much else.
But she's good, but she doesn't.
No, of course. But I mean, I wouldn't mind. She got cast. Okay, but fine. I'm not gonna be like.
You want a Lois Lane that's charming and charismatic and is strong on the screen. The chick who plays Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, she's got all that in spades.
Yeah,
so
I guess it just depends.
Makes just say
because I don't. I assume it's David Corn Sweat or whatever. I just don't know. I haven't seen him do anything, so I don't know his presence. So it might be a strong personality when I get some a little bit meek.
Listen,
I don't know. I don't know.
No. The fact that he's made it this far and James Gunn is intimately involved in this because he's writing, directing,
obviously
he wouldn't have made it this far if he didn't have something.
No, I'm sure he does. Listen, I'm sure he does. There's no doubt. I'm not questioning him. I just haven't seen him, so I'm trying to picture them like Rachel Brosnan and him on screen. I can't tell because I've never seen him do anything, so I don't know. Right? We know the face. He looks like Henry Cavill. Okay, fair enough. But I don't know how he sounds. I don't know his mannerisms. But yeah, so those are the six. Those are the finalists here of that one. So I anticipate an announcement pretty soon. I mean, not within the next month or two, I'm guessing. I'm sure they already know. And it's part of the decision's been made. A lot of these stories that come out, this stuff has been done like months ago. They just kind of drop a few nuggets until it's announced officially. But it's interesting. Like I said, I don't hate it. I'm good with it. This is the one that's kick off DC, man. James is all James Gunn. It's on him. At the end of the day, no one to blame if he screws this up. I
mean, so far he's been impeccable with his production. Whether it's been Suicide Squad to Peacemaker to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's been
solid. Listen. If Zack Snyder can get that part of it right, so can James Gunn. Stay what you will, but Zack Snyder casted very well.
Casted a fantastic Superman.
Agreed.
His Aquaman and his Flash are garbage. But his Superman and his Batman
Wonder Woman
and his Wonder Woman.
She really worked. Batman worked
out well.
I didn't mind. I don't mind Aquaman. I thought he was fine. But he casted well. So for whatever it's worth, So let's see. Um, Now let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. This is the piece de resistance.
What are we getting into?
A little bit. We're gonna cross universes, if you will.
Oh, are you talking about Across the Spider-Verse with my first appearance of Miles Morales? That's
There
right.
you
Suck it. I'm a huge
go.
nerd. Take it
There
right
you
there. I
go.
got it. But yes, let us talk about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, shall
Yeah,
we?
yes, do it. We didn't do a show last week. I would love to have talked about it then, but it is what it is. Um, I'll say this before I let you take lead. I'll keep mine very simple for now until we get a little deep dive into it. This is my favorite film of the year, and it's not even close as far as I'm concerned. Eric, your thoughts?
Uh, dude, dude, dude. This movie, I I saw it a second time because the first time the audio was not great in the
Oh,
theater that I was in, which is why, guys, listen, I know everyone's like, oh, IMAX. Sound is super important.
of course, absolutely.
And some you forget how important a good sound system is until the sound is kind of
Yeah.
crappy in a theater that you're in. So I went to go see it a second time and wow, like I complete like not a complete, but like just such a better like the movie got better because it's a great movie. The beginning, the cold open, that first 15, 20 minutes where you focus all on Gwen,
Mm-hmm.
holy crap, was I just like after that whole sequence ends and then the credits start, I feel like I was watching. I got a free movie before the movie came to go on. It's like this is great. Like, should we go home now? No, there's more movie. Okay, cool, more movie. And we went to go watch that. I loved the intro of Gwen Stacy and just the beginning about you see her playing the drums and the beat of her like pacing the story gets more sporadic as she's just sort of at her wits end, and then to pull it all back at the end of this massive adventure with Spider-Man 2099, Jessica Drew, pregnant Jessica Drew, and a not Victorian age. What was it? Like a
Oh,
Renaissance
the
age
Renaissance. Yeah, Vulture.
vulture on an action sequence that I would love to see in live action. Like, imagine that in live action, how great it would have been. Like, but to see all that craziness happen and then it brings it back to Gwen Stacy's drumming and how like her rhythm affects her ability to think and see opportunity. I off of that I was already like this is great. And then the rest of the movie kicks in and it's amazing.
Oh, no,
Like
God, it's so good. It's just
I'm not saying listen, the movie is not perfect, but it is great. So much so that you and me got to see the Flash movie, which also deals with light spoilers, but not because you saw the commercials. It deals with a
mm-hmm.
multiverse,
Yeah,
right?
to some degree, yeah. Mm-hmm.
This movie, even though we said that we talked about how the Flash movie we liked their handling, or you liked their handling of the multiverse better than Marvel did. The Spider Verse took what Marvel did, reinterpreted it, and it was even more fun than the Flash version and the Marvel version,
Yeah.
even though there are heavy nods to the Marvel multiverse visually. Tons of cameos, which
Oof.
doubles down to the MCU connection visually. Just a massive amount of art styles, like seeing Spider Punk on screen and his animation style was essentially every Sex Pistols cover, every punk band poster you've ever seen, from the '60s to the '70s. I grew up in New York, and I used to see like punk posters everywhere. It looked like a walking punk poster with a mishmash of like 50 posters. All like I loved all that. I thought that Oscar Isaac as Spider-Man 2099. Holy crap! Does Oscar Isaac kill everything that he's in? Like just amazing. Whether it's Moon Knight, it's Poe Dameron, even his performance, not the movie, but even his performance as Apocalypse was really solid in a bad movie. His Miguel O'Hara, I mean, as a nerd, as a comic book nerd, let me just say that the Miguel O'Hara you see in this movie is not the Miguel O'Hara from Spider-Man 2099. But it's because this Miguel O'Hara is doing something the 2099 comic book Miguel O'Hara has never done before. Like, spoiler spoiler alert, he acknowledges that he did something between timelines that you really shouldn't do. We'll
Yeah.
keep it like that a little bit. He never did anything like that in the comics. So you can't fault him for not being exactly comic book accurate. I will
That's
say
fine.
the one thing that I realized is that this series of movies, is defining for a generation who Miles Morales is. These movies are essentially the Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man interpretation. Like, Iron Man was not what Iron Man is in the movies until Robert Downey
Sure.
Jr. played Iron Man. And then the comic books, he goes, oh, okay, this is Tony Stark's personality from now on. That's how we're going to play it. There are elements of comic book Miles Morales there, but they are really creating something really special that I could tell is they're setting the base, like, this is how Miles plays from now on. And I love that. I love his character, and even the interpretation of his lore. Because in the comics, was he bit by a spider that had 42 on it? Absolutely. But in the comics, they were a series of spiders that Norman Osborn had developed, that he had infected with his version of the super soldier serum, that eventually bit Miles Morales, but it gave him variation powers. Each spider had small variations to the serum that he infected the spiders with. And this one, making it, spoiler, directly connected to the travels of multiverses, was a inspired and brilliant take on the character. I loved with the extra layer all that gave into. I love the fact that they borrowed points from Marvel. Like, in Marvel, if you watch What If, they've talked about fixed points in time, and they've co-opted that and turned it into a term that blew me away as a comic book person. They call them canon events.
Yeah.
If you don't know, canon is the official history of a thing. It's called canon. And they'll say they choose the idea, like, in the multiverse, there are canon events for every spider person. So if you're a spider person, these are things that are going to happen. You're going to lose an uncle. You're going to learn the lesson of what great power comes with great responsibility. And you will lose a major person in your life that's connected to law enforcement.
Right. I mean, we're gonna get spoiled here. This is
Okay.
this is a full spoiler, guys. Just
full spoilers. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you read comics, you know that even though Spider-Man dated Gwen Stacy, he originally also dated. Oh, he didn't originally also dated, but he also was friends with Captain Stacy, her dad. And then in Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 90, Captain Stacy died in the line of duty. The fact that they called that death a canon event to all Spider-Men and women, but they called it an ASM 90 canon event. I was like, that's Amazing Spider-Man 90. Look at you. I love that little insertion of what these things are called, the little wink and nods to, like, people who are. But I was surprised we're using canon. Like, honestly, just like I was surprised they used hammer space to explain when you could, like, go out into the screen and come back, and now you have, like, a hammer or something like that. Sort of like how Spider-Pig or Spider-Ham had it before. And I one other thing that I loved is that whenever they did weird things like that, they had the little sidebar on the bottom right panel
kind of explain
of the screen. Explain. Yeah. I was like, it's like a comic. Like, this is great. Yeah. I love. It made me feel. It almost rewarded me for being an old school comic fan while pushing the limits of what comic book storytelling is visually. And I've just been nothing but enamored the whole way through. Whether it's trying to figure out all the Spider-Men in the main central hub that they're into, to some of the background stuff, to some of the verbiage they use, the whole thing. Just this movie is as close to a 9.5 as I've ever given a movie in a while. So I feel like this movie is on par, if not a little bit better, than No Way Home. And if you know, well, we talked about this, I'm a big fan of No Way Home, like a really big fan of No Way Home. This movie is right there, if not a little bit better.
Yeah, listen, I mean, there's so much to unpack. I mean, the animation is ridiculous, in a good way, I'm saying. I loved it. All these, meshing of styles in there, depending on what universe you were in or which character of Spider-Man you focus on. I love that, right? Because it really kept you on your toes, right? It wasn't the same kind of thing, right? It was just It was something cell shaded. That the punk Spider-Man was great. I love the whole thing with Spot was very cool, and
Oh,
how
Spot
they
was
animated that action sequence, very
incredible.
super cool. I love that. So much with that. I mean, it's beautiful to look at, and you can. I heard people say you can stop it, and there's a frame of it so you can put on your wall, right? Which I agree. It's like everything they showed was just amazing. It was just fantastic.
This might be the first movie that makes going to make me in a long time want to buy the Blu-ray just to freeze frame those
That's what I'm saying.
shots.
It's just a beautiful shots. I mean, it's just incredible work they did. Really did. Um, and also because you mentioned about the whole multiverse. It seems like, which is what's so frustrating with the MCU, right? Everybody does multiverse better than the MCU. Sony
I don't know if
does,
everybody does it, but
DC does, A24 did. Everyone who's tackled this subject matter has given us a true multiverse and run circles about the MCU, which is why the MCU is so frustrating because they're the ones that started it, but they just botched it. And you watch these other films handle it, and we see even Everything Everywhere Once, right before Spider-Verse came on. That movie did multiverse better than MCU could even conceive. They can't do it. They cannot do that. They just can't,
well,
and they can't do Spider-Verse. They can't. They can't even do Flash. As little as multiverse it has, they can't even do like that does. This is why it's so upsetting, which is why I love this movie. They can tackle it and give us a true multiverse and explain what it is.
do
The
you
concepts.
feel do you feel like the reason why other places are doing a better version of multiverse is because Marvel came in first with it,
No,
and so
not really,
they're
because
using it as a feeler?
Flash was being filmed way before. It was years ago. Flash has been filmed,
Mm.
written.
Okay, yeah, right,
Spider Verse takes 2 to 3 or 4 years to get because the animation alone. All this was being done before.
right.
Even maybe and Everything Ever Once, maybe the only one, but that came out I think before Doctor Strange, and maybe right after. So they'll be a film at the
I think
same
you're right.
time,
Yeah.
right? So they've all tackled it at the same time more or less, and have all done a better job. Um, and I love the way they did it here. It was awesome. I love how they did it. All the characters, so many. This beginning scene, not the beginning scene, but when Spot, he discovering his powers and he can go to his other dimensions or whatever, and he goes into the Venom world, and it's
Dude,
not non-animated Venom world. I thought it was fantastic with the Asian woman from the little convenience shop, who just like, yeah, I've seen this already. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm not against shock. That was fantastic. Seeing what's this guy Lando? I forgot his name already.
Donald Glover,
Donald Glover, yes, there, his real life version inside the comic.
as
Come on,
with the armor,
come
with the
on,
Prowler armor. I was like, that's
come
great.
on, man. I mean,
Super excited.
all these
I will
little
say this:
Easter eggs like that, they just pepper throughout the film.
I I was kind of hoping to either hear Venom or to see Venom's head pop up.
I was halfway expecting like,
I was
damn.
like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah,
And
I was waiting for that moment, but I was okay with it. Even
yeah.
the Lego thing, how cool was that? I mean, and they had Jameson on that one, the real voice, whose name I'm forgetting.
J.K.
J.K.
Simmons,
Simmons, he's
and he's a one consistent in every universe.
no, for
All
real.
J. Jonah Jameson
He's the
sound
constant.
like him,
He's the
which is
constant.
great.
But all that came out wonderful. I love this story. We knew it was going to be part one of two. So I'm not, I know some people. The only gripe I hear
Some
mainly
people,
is I wasn't, it didn't
both
finish, but whatever.
both times I saw the movie, people booed when the To Be Continued came on. Not because they're bad with the movie. They're like, "What? Here? They stop now?"
Right,
Yeah,
right, and that's my only negative on the film, right? Where they didn't quite give it a little more of an ending with setting it up. Not a huge gripe, but it's there. We gotta be honest, it's there. I mean, we've seen I don't know, Empire Strikes Back, for example. It's the middle of the two.
the Lord of the Rings
Middle
series.
of the Rings, right? They still give us a definitive ending, and now there's something else there. That's the
Right.
only gripe with the film that I have. Everything else is spot on as far as I'm concerned. This is better than the first one, which is
Yeah.
and
And first one's
the
great.
first was great. Until I saw this one, that was my favorite Spider-Man movie of all of them, animated or not. This one now takes that place because it's the best one. It's so good, and I can't wait for this third one. This could be in the conversation if they stick the landing, which I think they will.
Perfect trilogy.
One of the best trilogies of all time.
You're not wrong. You're not
Right?
wrong
I mean,
in the least.
I just as long as it's good, that'd be great. Just as long as if it's good, it's in their top 5 for sure. If it's great, looking at top 3, I don't know. I mean, that's a conversation for another day. But it's set up that way. That's how good this movie is and how great the first one was. And to pass that one, Because I took my stepdaughter to see it, and she loves the first one. And before he saw it, I said, "Hey, we gotta go see Spider-Verse." Said, "Oh yeah." I said, and she asked me if I saw it. I'm like, "Come on." She's like, "I know." And she said, "Was it good?" I said, "Yeah, it's better than the first." And she gave me this look. I'm like, "All right." So at the end of the film, she looked over and said, "Yeah, you're right. It's better than the first." Well, there you go. So we'll take her opinion. She started playing the Miles Morales PS5 game this week because she just still has it in her head.
Sure, there you
So you
go.
guys all get on into it. But it's just phenomenal. It's fantastic, man. I guess
You know,
it's
I
so
will
good.
say one of the things that I feel like held the movie back, from being like a perfect movie for me. I actually like the soundtrack to the first movie more than the second one.
I,
I thought there were
yeah,
better needle drop moments in the first
it's
one.
fair.
Like this one, like I'll give an example. This movie did not have a, a sunflower or what's up danger
Hmm.
or even a Biggie moment.
Sure,
Like there were some parts
it's
of the
fair.
first movie where the song was just perfect,
Yeah.
and I felt that, and only two times where I felt the music was perfect in terms of like the what was going on, the drum solo
Hmm.
with Gwen in the beginning, and the literally the needle drop at the end when Miles is tied up to the punching bag.
Oh yeah, at the end, yeah, yeah.
Those two
That was
moments
dope. Yeah,
musically were
yeah.
perfect. Now the rest of the score is great. The guy whoever scored the movie, fantastic. But the needle drop moments, that's the one thing that Into the Spider Verse does better than Across.
Hmm.
There was better
That's
music,
fair.
in my
That's fair.
opinion.
No.
That if they just would have had. And here's the kicker: they use "What's Up Danger" in the trailer to this. Never played in the movie, and so like not there's a false expectation, but you're kind of hoping there's gonna be something that's gonna get you that big rile up moment, and it wasn't there. Maybe they're saving it for part three as like a callback to one and two.
Hmm.
Who knows? But that's one of the things that held me back from being a perfect movie is the music on
No,
that.
like I said,
So
it's God, it's fantastic. It's just really good. It's
nitpicky,
funny.
totally
Oh,
nitpicky. That's all it is.
no, no, yeah,
But
yeah. It's not. Like I said, it's hard to find something that's like negative. The ending was only thing for me. Just whatever. Just but that's not a huge thing, right? Um, but I get people. If people complain about it, I get it. Most people don't know it was part two or three, right?
right,
It's fair. It's a fair point.
even though originally it was labeled
It
as part
was,
one
but
and
I,
part
I
two.
think they should have left it on like part one. I thought that would have been people. It's set the right expectation, right? People are like, okay, oh, it's part
Sure,
one. I get it. We've seen what Harry Potter do that Hunger Games. You knew it was part one or two, right? It was announced.
right.
There's no misunderstanding. So they should have gone more for that. We knew because we wanted to know. But no, but other than that, man, it was phenomenal, man. It was so good. It's amazing. I mean, we talked about where before this came out and all the early, reactions to it. And we're like, man, this is better than what we've seen already. It's gotta be fucking good, right? Yeah, it's fucking good. To get three sequential, we talked three superhero films sequentially, all great from all three studios. I don't think
Yeah.
we've seen that before. I really don't. I gotta think back, but I don't think we've seen it. Well, we haven't because Sony hasn't given us that in a long time. Venom, it ain't it. So I know we never had it just because of that. So that's amazing. That's great, man. I mean, I don't expect a lot of Blue Beetle or the Marvels to be honest with you. Nothing to this level anyway. Um, which is fine. I'm not expecting that.
I'm
You know.
hoping I'm hoping Blue Beetle is at least Shazam one level. If it's that kind of
Oh
fun,
yeah,
I'm
I'm
in.
fine with that. Like, I don't want. I don't need it to be. Oh my god, just be good. I'm fine with. I'm totally
I
fine with.
want
Right,
it to be
it's
good.
good. Be good. Same thing with Marvel. Marvel's no problem.
It's almost. I'll tell you that I was actually talking to somebody recently about the whole turn of like, superhero fatigue is finally settled in to like, holy crap, look at how good these superhero movies
I
are.
mean, they're
And it's just because there's something about superhero movies
of
that
course.
to me feels like being a Latino or a person of color in America, which is you got to work 10 times as hard to just have the basic level of respect of like, oh, look what you did.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be like amazing to be like, oh, okay, you're good. So if you do a good superhero movie, people are gonna be like, oh, it wasn't good enough. But if you're an amazing superhero movie, you're like, oh shit, you changed the game. I'll do it again. Like, wait a minute, there's nothing impossible. Yeah, but do it again because I want to see more. Like, so it is an uphill. What I'm saying is superhero movies have an uphill battle when it's never going to be easy. So we have
Yeah.
to strive for excellence, either in execution in pushing boundaries, in visuals. It's got to be
It's
something.
just got to be something, right? I completely agree, and I think there's no superhero fatigue per se. I think what maybe
It's just a very high level of expectation
right. I mean,
from
it's
superhero
kind of
movies.
been stale for a little bit, right? And look at and both DC and Marvel are guilty of this,
Yeah,
where even financially, Ant-Man did not do well.
right.
Thor 2 did a lot below what
What they
the Thor
expected,
4 and
right?
3. I think Black Panther did like 500 million, more than that, some was 7, but less than the original. Doctor Strange that hit a billion. I mean, these movies were hitting a billion left and right, right? Shazam
Right.
bombed. Black Adam didn't do well.
Shazam
Uh,
and Black Adam
right,
straight up
yeah, didn't
bomb.
do
Yeah,
well. Guardians is doing good, very good, but still not to that level. Spider-Man did excellent. I think it did 120. The
yeah.
original was 30. A Flash, we'll see how that goes. I know it's a uphill battle for Flash because it's DC. It's
And it's got a lot of baggage
right,
with Ezra.
exactly.
So
So
yeah,
I don't expect that to do well, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. It didn't get the reviews were like a 70 something, which surprised me to be for Flash anyway, which surprised me.
like I said, it's got baggage.
Right,
So
we had
even like,
yeah, I think I had
like I've had to explain to people.
yeah.
I saw Flash, and y'all give me like a cringy look, and I go, it takes about 20 minutes to get over the Ezra Miller of it all,
Yeah.
but once you do, you can enjoy it. And they're like, what made you hold back? And I'm like, well, when the lead actor's been accused of grooming, and in the first 15 minutes, there's a scene where a little girl is screaming, "Oh my God, I love you," and then there's another part where he's like saving babies. I'm like, none of this feels comfortable to me right now.
Something ironic about
I
the
don't
whole
know.
thing. But that being said, I mean, listen, when you do something that's interesting, it will work, right? It will succeed, but
Yes.
it's got to be consistent. We can't have like 2 or 3 good films and then, I'm sure Blue Beetle. I don't expect Blue Beetle to really break the mold. It's gonna be a typical fun, which is fine.
But I want a
Right.
well executed
Right,
fun
just do it
movie.
well.
As long as
But
it's well executed fun,
yeah,
I'm
that's
good.
not gonna break any, as far as barriers in terms of story or anything. Marvel, same thing. I don't expect a lot out of that in terms of giving it something new, unique. It's tough to do that though. To be fair, it's tough because these movies have to go a certain way. I mean, let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
They do. Every so often you can do something darker or whatever, or do like Nolan Batman was more grounded, dark. Every so often, MCU can't do that because they're just not built
Well,
that
we're
way.
going to see them
You
play
know,
around with that a little bit because Secret Invasion's coming up.
potentially,
So we're going to
but
see him.
again, well, they haven't known issue. They haven't planned anything, so I expect nothing. What's coming out for the next couple of years? Because we talked about it. They had no plan, and that plan might
Right.
just fall by the wayside if events
Certain
with
things
certain
occur.
right. Who knows what the fuck's happening with them? Let's be clear. DC was starting over DC, right? So, okay, and then somebody just as Spider-Man, right? We get Craven the Hunter, which I'm concerned because it could be Morbius.
We have many concerns.
Right. I hope not. I
Many,
hope
many, many,
not.
many.
I'm rooting for all these movies to be good. I really am. But I forgot Craven's coming out this year too. But who's excited about Craven? I mean, come on. I mean, really? Look, I hope so. I'm rooting for it. I really am.
I'm more disappointed about Indiana Jones than I'm excited for Craven.
You're probably right. And it's funny. It's just totally off topic before you sign off, but the whole Indiana Jones things. I think I read about the projections box office, which more times than not they do seem to be on par with what actually happens. Not all the time, but most of the times they do. So I think they're predicting like 60 million, which is even lower than Crystal Skull, right? Which says a lot because that was 10 years ago, maybe more.
Yeah, roughly 8, maybe 10,
years,
so like
whatever it was. But that being said, so with inflation, all that is making less than that movie. That's not a good sign. It's not getting good reviews, and it goes back to the story I broke about the director, no longer doing the Star Wars. So I'm just saying that story is still in play. It's just I don't know what to say.
But he's still in for the Swamp Thing. He's still in for Swamp Thing. So don't forget about
that's
that.
fine.
He's still in for Swamp
different
Thing.
studio, but I just. No, it could happen, man. It could happen. Look, 2008, so it's 15 years ago, actually.
All right.
So that's monetarily, that's a big difference if you make less than that film 15 years later. Ugh, I don't know, man.
Let me tell you something. Ever since we heard about the bad reviews for Indiana Jones, your prediction has haunted my brain.
I'm telling you, it would if it. the story's out there. And we're in 4 or 5 months, we broke it right here on this channel.
Oh
we
man, that's
I'm just saying, dude. I don't know what to tell you. I went to the Speed Force and found out what was gonna happen. It is what it is, right? But that being said, we'll end it off there as those other nuggets for the week.
guys. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. We appreciate all the love you're giving us. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe here on the YouTube channel for Latin Nerd Network, where you can watch shows as Nerdsplaining and The Watch List and Dennis's Choice. If you like listening to us over here, why don't you participate on social media? That's always fun. You can go to @Nerdsplaining_ on Twitter and @NerdsplainingPod on Instagram. You can listen to all the original audio episodes here on ericdasilva.com, ERICDASILVA. And also, while you're there, don't forget to pick up my album, Adore Will Be Offensive. And also, if you are interested in comic books, you can check out my upcoming developing comic book, Danger Squad, at dangersquad.com as well. And, let us know what you thought about the show. Let us know what you thought about Spiderverse. Let us know what you're excited about maybe seeing in the Flash. We can't tell you what it is until the episode comes out, but we'll talk about it, I promise, because we got to see the changes. There's things are going to be changing about it. In fact, I heard that people watching the Flash screening now are getting the after credit scene.
Yeah,
which I find unfair. But we'll see.
A couple auditions from what I understand. But we'll get our chance.
And we'll get our chance. It's just like 2 weeks away. We're perfectly fine. But guys, we love talking this nerd stuff with you. So keep checking in, and we'll keep talking more about it and let you know what's going on, because this is what we do for fun, and this is what we do for you guys for the love of the geekdom and the nerddom all across the board. As always, guys, I am Eric Da Silva. This has been Jose Romero. We have been Nerdsplaining. And if you don't know, now you know. Peace. Boom.